Hey guys, welcome to another update on the garden. It's been a couple weeks and we've done a bunch of fun stuff with it, and there's been a bunch of growth being finally summertime. So we want to give you an overview of what's growing, what we've picked so far, and talk a little bit about some little challenges we're having. This whole thing really is about learning and growth. There's a bunch of stuff we're going to do different next year based on experiences we're having, and really that's kind of part of the whole thing. So hope you enjoy the update. So I'm going to make this a little bit more concise than some of the other ones. I'm going to hit the highlights about all the stuff that's growing and going to point out a few of the things we've been battling a little bit. There's lots of stuff to sort out and to figure out. Anything we're missing, we're happy to get input from people who know. One of the most exciting things that we have is the potatoes. I'm really just shocked at how great they have done. So I don't know whether these typically are early season potatoes or not. I got them from the co-op and I didn't think to ask, and they just came in a burlap bag. So I'm not sure whether they typically come on this early, but as you can see, they're all flowering. And often the flowering indicates pretty far into their life cycle. So that's pretty darn exciting. And as we're weeding, we keep uncovering potatoes. So that's pretty cool. We finally have all the parts of the Three Sisters corn planting that are doing their thing. The beans, it's pretty crazy. Both the corn and the beans seeds came from the local farmers co-op. They seem to be the most aggressive and healthy growing things that we have gotten. And Kim literally just planted, you can see the beans here that are around, the pole beans that are around the base of the corn.
Last Sunday.
Kim literally planted those seeds exactly 1 week ago. And so it's just remarkable to me. I assume that probably the seed quality has something to do with it. I assume also that maybe the dynamics of this compost that we planted in is particularly favorable to these plants. I don't think that's the case for everything which I'll show you here in just a few minutes. But this is pretty amazing. We're pretty excited. I remember my dad always telling me that corn should be at least knee-high by 4th of July. And as you can, Kim will show you, yeah, Kim, it's like up to her hip, and we're already starting, they're starting to tassel already, which is really pretty remarkable. So we're pretty excited about the corn and the beans. And also, let me go down here, I think, where is we have squash down there, and then over here is our big squash plant that's doing really well. And then down here we actually have a squash plant with a little bitty, if you can, I don't know if you can see it or not, that little bitty squash already starting. So I'm pretty excited about it. So this was definitely one of the most exciting things that we have going on. We have just a huge number of strawberries. There's only 3 plants, but they are really just going nuts with strawberries. And we had a couple that were grew enough and matured enough that we were able to pick them, and they are absolutely delicious. So we're definitely excited about next year expanding the area that the strawberries get. We're probably going to do some pretty fun and creative planting things for them in a kind of terrace box system. And we've gotten tons of radishes already out of this little section here. Part of what we're learning with particularly planting directly in this compost, this cotton burr compost, it has a lot of the cotton material still in it, which for the deeper layers of the soil does a really great job of holding in moisture. but on the top layer, the top ½ inch or inch dries out really quickly. So surface planting or very shallow depth planting of seeds in this material really does not do very well. As you can see from, let me see if I can get down, those were carrots that were planted the same time as the radishes, and as you can see, they're less than spectacular. The same thing is true of almost all of the herbs that we planted at the end of these potatoes. We have a little bit of sage, and I don't know what that crazy weird thing is. There's probably a weed. It's the same thing. I mean, it's really difficult to keep this stuff watered enough and keep it wet enough for things to hang on, those little seeds that are real shallow on the surface. This is arugula. Obviously, it's very, very spotty in how it came in. So we have basil that's have one that's actually looks like it's taken hold. The rest of them, again, really just seem to be struggling. Romaine and iceberg lettuce. They're the same kind of thing. These have finally gotten big enough where it seems like they're reaching down into the deeper layers of the soil and are getting the water that they need. This line of the spinach crapped out kind of just like all the rest of the stuff, and really for the same reasons apparently. So we're just still playing with this and figuring this bit of it out. Our peppers are pretty sad. They're pretty thin. They've been getting eaten on by some things, and they're not really growing much. We definitely have flea beetles that we'll talk about when we go over and look at the potatoes, but they are definitely getting on top of both the radishes as well as the potatoes and also the peppers. So we got to sort out what that means and how to fix it. The whole tomato section has been a little bit of a challenge as well. I really feel like the watering thing has also been a big piece of that. We finally have the tomato plants turned the right direction. I did a significant amount of pruning and really paying attention to watering and stuff like that over the past 2 weeks, but really in the past week. And so they're really looking a whole lot better. I was pretty concerned that the tomatoes just weren't going to do their thing, but they really seem to be coming on, which is pretty cool. All our companion flowers seem to be, some of them are doing really great. These zinnias are doing great. These zinnias over here are not doing so great, but we're gonna try to keep on top of them water-wise and see if we can't help them out. Same way with our marigolds. All the marigolds we planted along here as companion plantings for the vegetable garden are popping up and doing good. It's pretty fun to see. This has sort of become our mishmash area edge bed. The nasturtiums are doing really good. This here is, I don't know, some kind of squash type plant. We don't know what it is. I guess we'll find out eventually. And these ones up here are doing good. But again, over here you can see how dwarfed that is and how bad these look as compared to the other ones. So there's a whole bunch of questions. There's no baby tomato plant, another baby tomato plant that doesn't look like it's going to make it, another one of these, the nasturtiums that are just doing bad, another baby tomato plant, and then all of a sudden you come along and those two look a lot better. So I'm not really sure how to read all of that. We got another little squash plant here, or some kind of squash plant, and we're pretty excited about our cucumber plant. This is not the original cucumber plant that we planted. We actually got a seedling a week ago, and it is really doing great. This is a pickling cucumber size cucumber, so it's clinging on to the fence already and starting to climb. So we're pretty excited about that one. Down on this edge, more original cucumbers, And then all along this edge, our onions really just are struggling. I added some compost to them, and hopefully they'll bounce back, but we'll see. So here are the flea beetles we're dealing with. I've looked all over the place, and that's pretty much, I'm pretty confident that's what they are. I really hate the idea of using insecticides on them, but we might have to be a little bit more aggressive with some of that stuff. I'm looking for maybe some organic or biologically friendly ways to deal with these. I certainly don't want pests eating up. Also, we got a little bit, looks like a little caterpillar there as well. So I also had a couple cabbage moth caterpillars on one of the cabbage heads. So this is a new place to figure out how we deal with this to keep our hard work from going to waste. Our beans bed here is a little lackluster as well. They're really green and seem to be doing good. And then these here in the center, for whatever reason, are kind of really super pale yellow. At least those 4 or 5 of them are. And then these 2 over on the edge are green, but they're not yet putting out. The taller ones anyway, these tallest ones aren't putting out any flowers or anything yet. So, and then you jump down here to these little guys who literally were planted in the shop at the same time as the big ones that grew, and they're still just really, really small. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what the story is. Yeah, this little bitty stunted plant right here, it's maybe only 4 inches tall, but it's bursting out flowers. It's trying hard. We'll see what happens with it. So yeah, I'm a little bit at a loss with all of these, but again, this is really first year digging into this, so I'm sure we'll sort it out. If you have any thoughts on any of this, please leave comments or suggestions, ideas about what you might be seeing if you know more about this stuff than we do. I have a fun little squash plant back here who's already throwing out some flowers. We also have a bunch of lavender planted along here, along with periodically also unknown squash plants. And we did throw in a watermelon here, and we'll see how that goes. They're the little ones because watermelon plants get pretty big. And I'm excited about our grape. Our grape looks like it's coming along, so that's gonna be fun. We had a companion to that one, but it ended up dying. Our onion bed over here, struggling very much like the rest of our onions. And we have the sole surviving sunflower. Out of the dozen that we put down through here, this is the only one that survived. So we're going to throw some more sunflower seeds in along this edge and see if we can get some of those for later in the summer. And this little guy is the culprit on the cauliflower that is got holes eaten all in it. I also pulled off some cabbage moth, what I assume is cabbage moth worms or caterpillars that have been going to town. Actually, there's one right there that have been going to town on the has been going to town on the cabbage over here. So we got to sort that bit out and figure out how to deal with those. All right, so that's it for this time. It's been fun to share this with you. We'll circle back another couple weeks and see if we can't show you some of the stuff we're getting out of this beast. Say hi, Kimmy. Say bye, Kimmy.
Bye.